I told my mother that my father had an affair with her sister. She refused to believe me, screaming, "You're lying to tear us apart." My aunt denied it, crying, "How could you accuse me?" I whispered, "I saw everything. And I have proof." When I showed them the evidence, their family was destroyed. And the secrets they tried to hide were finally exposed. It all started in the summer of 2018. I was 17, living in a quiet suburb of Columbus, Ohio. My parents, Mark and Susan, had been married for over 20 years. My mom's younger sister, Aunt Rachel, was a frequent visitor. She was the cool aunt, always bringing gifts and sharing stories from her travels. One evening, I came home early from a friend's house. As I walked past the living room, I saw something that made my stomach churn: my dad and Aunt Rachel kissing. It wasn't a peck on the cheek, it was passionate. They didn't see me, and I quietly backed out, heart pounding. I spent days in shock, trying to process what I'd witnessed. Eventually, I confronted my dad. "Dad, I saw you and Aunt Rachel together." His face turned pale. "You must be mistaken," he said quickly. "I know what I saw." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Please, don't tell your mother. It was a mistake. I couldn't keep this secret." I told my mom. "You're lying," she screamed. "You're trying to tear us apart." Aunt Rachel denied it, tears streaming down her face. "How could you accuse me of such a thing?" "I saw everything," I whispered. "And I have proof. I had taken a photo that night, just in case." I showed it to them. The room fell silent. My mom stared at the photo, then at my dad and sister. "Get out," she said coldly. My dad moved out that night. Aunt Rachel disappeared from our lives. The family was destroyed. Over time, secrets surfaced. My dad had been having affairs for years. Aunt Rachel had a history of relationships with married men. My mom filed for divorce. We moved to a new house, trying to rebuild our lives. It's been years since that summer. The scars remain, but so does the strength we found in facing the truth. The weeks after Dad left were quiet, but not the peaceful kind of quiet. It was the kind where every creak in the floor felt like a scream. Every clock tick was a countdown to the next disaster. Mom barely spoke. She just existed. She stopped baking on Sundays. She stopped laughing at crime shows. Her eyes looked empty, like someone had switched her soul off. I felt like I had killed her spirit with one photo. But I had no regrets. I didn't expect what happened next. One rainy Friday, there was a knock on the door. I opened it to find Aunt Rachel, soaked to the bone, mascara running like ink down her face. She didn't say a word, just stood there shaking. And then she handed me a letter, no envelope, just a folded page. "I thought you should read this," she whispered. Then she turned and walked away. I unfolded the letter and read it 3 times before my knees gave out. The letter wasn't from her, it was from my dad. In it, he admitted everything. Not just the affair. He admitted that I wasn't his biological daughter. "You were a surprise to your mother. She was already 2 months pregnant when we got married. I found out only after Rachel told me." "Yes, she knew all along. She always kept that secret to protect your mother." I dropped the letter like it was burning. "Mom lied to me." "Rachel knew?" "Dad stayed because, what, guilt?" I confronted my mom that night. She didn't even deny it. "Yes," she said. "It was someone I met before your dad. A one-time mistake. He left town. I thought it would be easier to raise you in a complete family." "Who is he?" I asked, voice shaking. "I don't know," she said. "Or maybe I just didn't want to know." That night, I couldn't sleep. My family was a house of secrets. No one told the truth until it hurt too much not to. A few days later, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called my dad. He didn't pick up. So I drove to his apartment. I needed answers. I needed the truth. Not just the photo truth, but everything. He looked like a man who had aged 10 years in 2 months. He let me in without a word. I sat down and said, "Tell me everything. From the beginning. I want to know who I am. I want to know what Rachel meant to you. I want to know why you stayed." He poured 2 glasses of iced tea, like it was just another summer day, and told me everything. Turns out, he and Rachel had been together first. Back in college, it was Rachel. "Not your mom," he said. "But she broke up with me. Then I met Susan. Things happened fast. Marriage, house you. But I never stopped loving Rachel. And when she started coming around again, we fell back into old habits." "So I was just part of your cover?" I asked. "No," he said quickly. "I raised you. I loved you like my own. That never changed. But you knew." "Yes," he said. "And I stayed. Because you were the best part of my life. I left feeling more broken than when I came." But something had shifted. I didn't feel guilty anymore. They lied. I exposed them. That wasn't on me. But the final twist? That came a week later. I got a Facebook message from a woman named Claire Miller. Hi. This is random, but I think we might be sisters. Sisters? I opened her profile. She lived in Indianapolis. Blonde. Same chin as mine. Same eyes. She attached a photo of her and her mom. Her mom looked young in the photo. Young and scared. I found an old journal in my mom's attic. She wrote about a guy named Mark who left her when she was pregnant and said she should get it taken care of. She didn't. She raised me alone. She died last year. I never knew my dad. But a DNA test pointed me toward your family. I stared at that message for hours. My dad, he did have a daughter. Another one. Maybe more. And now? Now I had a sister. Or half-sister. Or maybe just another person with too many secrets and no answers. At first, I didn't respond to Claire. What do you even say to something like that? Hey, thanks for dropping that DNA bomb on my already exploding life. But after a few sleepless nights and an emotional breakdown in the Kroger parking lot, shout out to the kind lady who handed me tissues through my car window, I finally messaged her back. We agreed to meet halfway, in Dayton. Neutral ground. When I saw her in person, I didn't need a DNA test. The resemblance was eerie. Same shaped eyes. Same nervous laugh. Same way we both over-apologized when our hands reached for the same coffee cup at the counter. Claire and I talked for hours. She told me about her mom, about growing up without a father, about wondering why she never felt like she belonged. I told her about the chaos that was my current life. Then she dropped the biggest bomb yet. So, there's more, she said, pushing her cup away. I braced myself. My mom didn't just write about your dad. She wrote about your mom, too. My eyebrows shot up. What? Claire pulled out an old, tattered notebook and slid it across the table. She said she once caught your mom and your dad, before they were married, together, while your dad was still dating Rachel. I blinked. Wait, my mom and my dad were having an affair before they got married. Yep. And your mom knew? She didn't just know. She was friends with your mom in high school. They lost touch after your mom married Mark. Everything twisted inside me. My mother and father were never the perfect couple. They were the wreckage of betrayal from the beginning. Rachel wasn't the homewrecker. She was the one who got wrecked first. So let me break this down. My dad was with Rachel. Cheated on her with my mom. My mom got pregnant with me. He married my mom but never stopped loving Rachel. Cheated on my mom with Rachel later. Had another daughter with someone else while being married. That someone else was friends with my mom back in the day. And my mom knew the whole time and kept it buried. I didn't even know which way was up anymore. But I knew one thing. Someone was still lying. So I went back home and waited until my mom got in from work. We need to talk, I said. My voice was calm, but my hands were shaking under the table. She sighed. Again. I opened Claire's notebook and slid it toward her. Did you know her mom? She looked at the page, and her face drained of color. Yes, she whispered. Back in high school. Did you know she was pregnant? I suspected. You knew who the father was? She looked away. I thought she'd taken care of it, she said. Her voice cracked. She told me she would. Did you tell Dad? No, she said. Because I knew he'd leave me. I had already forgiven him for what he did with Rachel. I thought we had a chance. You never had a chance. You were all just playing house over a graveyard. Tears welled in her eyes. I did what I thought was best. No, you did what was easiest, I snapped. You all buried your secrets and thought no one would ever dig them up. She didn't respond. And for the first time in my life, I saw her for who she really was, not just my mother, but a woman full of fear, shame, and a desperate need to keep her illusion intact. Later that night, I got another message from Claire. I found something else, she wrote. It was a scanned page of her mother's journal. In it, she had written about overhearing a conversation between Rachel and Mark. Rachel told him she was pregnant. He told her to take care of it too. I stared at that sentence until it blurred. Rachel had been pregnant? And my dad tried to ghost her too? So that's why she came back. That's why she was always so attached to our family. She wasn't just my aunt. She was a grieving woman who had once carried my half-sibling and lost them, and lived her whole life in the shadow of my mom and me. I had been the child that lived. The one who stayed. The replacement, maybe. Everything made sense, and nothing did. The next day, I drove to find Rachel. She was living in a rented room above a used bookstore in Cincinnati. When she opened the door, she didn't look surprised to see me. I was wondering when you'd show up, she said quietly. We sat down on her porch. She lit a cigarette with shaking fingers. I didn't want you to find out this way, she said. But maybe it's time. You were pregnant, I said. She didn't flinch. Yes. What happened? Your father happened, she said. He begged me not to tell anyone. Said it would ruin everything. I was young. Scared. I did what he asked. My stomach turned. What would have happened if you hadn't? I'd have a child now, she said. Your sibling. Maybe older than you. Maybe you'd have someone else to talk to. She looked away. And maybe I'd still have a soul. We sat in silence. Then she said something that chilled me. You think your family's ruined now? Just wait. There's more. Rachel stubbed out her cigarette. She stared into the distance like she was watching ghosts walk by. I wasn't just pregnant once, she said. I blinked. What? She turned and looked me straight in the eyes. I was pregnant again. Years later. After your mom and dad were already married. After he swore he'd changed. After he told me I was the only one who ever mattered. I believed him again. I was stupid. What happened? I asked, though I already feared the answer. He made me end it again, she said. Her voice cracked. Twice. 2 times I gave up everything for a man who never gave a damn. My stomach churned. My dad. I didn't even know who he was anymore. Not a father. Not even a man. Just a coward with a nice smile and a trail of broken women behind him. And your mom? Rachel continued. She knew about the second one. She found out. She offered me money to keep quiet. What? She called it a family favor. Told me I was selfish for trying to come between you and your dad. I stood up. My hands were shaking. I'm done, I said. I'm done protecting them. I'm done acting like I'm okay. Rachel looked up. What are you going to do? Burn it all. I started with Claire. I invited her to a family dinner. Yes, a dinner. I told my mom, my dad, and Rachel that I wanted to talk things out for closure. I even made pasta like old times. Set the table. Lit candles. When everyone showed up, they looked confused. Nervous. But hopeful. They shouldn't have been. I waited until we were seated. Then I pulled out my laptop and hit play on the slideshow I had made. Photo after photo, journal entries, screenshots of texts, voice recordings from Rachel. Every lie. Every affair. Every moment of truth they'd tried to bury. Claire sat across the table with her arms crossed. Her presence alone was a slap in the face to all of them. My dad tried to interrupt. This is cruel. No, you were cruel. I snapped. You ruined 3 women's lives and lied to me every step of the way. My mom started crying. You're tearing us apart. I looked her dead in the eyes. No, you did that when you bought my aunt's silence with hush money. When you lied about who I am. When you chose your pride over the truth. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. This is the last time I ever sit at a table with you two. This is my goodbye. Rachel looked stunned, but didn't speak. Maybe she didn't need to. Maybe she knew the damage had finally come full circle. I stood up. There's one more thing. I handed each of them a letter. Legal documents. I'm changing my name. I'm cutting ties. Financial, legal, emotional. I want nothing from either of you. You can keep your guilt. My dad's jaw dropped. You're serious? I'm done living in a lie built on your secrets. You don't get to break people and call it love. Then I turned to Claire. Want to come stay with me for a while? She nodded, smiling through tears. And that was it. I left. A year later, I heard from a cousin that my mom was living alone in a small condo, rarely spoke to anyone, barely left the house. My dad moved to Florida, tried dating someone new, until she found out about his past and dumped him publicly in front of their friends. Rachel? She opened a bookstore. Quiet, peaceful, still alone, but maybe healing. And me? I built a new life with Claire. We weren't sisters by childhood, but we were sisters by choice. We shared pain, but also strength. And on the 1-year anniversary of that dinner, we raised a glass to the truth. Because the truth didn't just destroy a family. It freed the ones who needed it most. And revenge? It wasn't fire or fury. It was walking away with peace while they sat in the ashes they made.